credit card payments for goods and services on your website with Sagicor Payment Gateway. Integrate in as little as 30 minutes. Conditions apply. The time by Sagicor Bank is...
It is 7 o'clock on the Sound of Love, and you're now invited to listen to the Morning Watch with Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint. The Morning Watch is brought to you this morning by Partners Interventional Center, taking us through to 8 o'clock. Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org. And if you're overseas and on the move, US listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and YouTube Live. In the first watch today, sorting out NIDS enrollment centers. And in the second watch, tap and go when the PIN is unnecessary. Our social media question we ask: are you looking forward to the NIDS enrollment? Why or why not? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's our quote.
This morning's I quote is an inspirational quote. I can't give you a surefire formula for success, but I can give you a formula for failure. Try to please everybody all the time. Herbert Bayard Swope.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Blair.
Good morning, Reverend Dr. Dylan Toussaint. How are you this morning?
I am doing well. What an interesting quote that is, eh?
I know. And yes, sometimes persons do get caught in that web trying to please everybody all the time, and you just can't.
Right. It's a dangerous web to entangled in, eh? Yeah. By the way, in the second watch, you're talking about tap and go. You ever use those tap stuff cards?
Yes, I do. And I'm looking forward to the discussion this morning because I want to know what are the pros and the cons.
Yeah.
I really like it because you can keep the card in your hand and you can give it to them. You do the tapping.
Okay.
But,
Well, I was saying to myself, the only tapping I do is when I tap my feet.
I thought you were going to say
I hear the total cost of the groceries. I'm gone. The first watch in the back after this break.
I've got love in my heart and I'm feeling blessed.
Another World of Worship Wednesday is coming your way inside alive, 1 to 5 October 26th, packed with worship, fun, and information. Stick around for Prayer Blast at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Kevin Williams as our worship artist of the day. Then at 3 p.m. inside the Alive Bible Challenge ABC Season 3, we bring you the second match in round 1, featuring Devon Campbell going up against Connie Benjamin Gordon. All this and more will come your way inside alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This World of Worship Wednesday, October 26th, with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One on the family station, Love 101.
Give him praise, give him praise. 8884 Gastro. That's the only number you need to know. 8884 Gastro. Safety first, that's for sure. We feel it right. So when you're ready to light, day or night, the blue flame burns bright. So when you time you need cooking gas, call Gas Pro and you get it fast. 8884 Gas Pro. Get attached to the one you know. Gas Pro, gas professionals.
I'm Tammy.
I'm Wayne.
And we are the Mitchells. Our life is a busy vibe, so Flow Yarden Road is made for our vibe.
Power your everywhere vibe with Yarden Road and get up to 150 megabits per second fiber fast internet at home and fully loaded mobile with unlimited social and YouTube data. Anywhere talking text plus gigs and gigs of any use data. All for a special offer of $4,999 plus GCT. Yarden Road is for the way you live. Flow, Jamaica's network. Visit discoverflow.co. Conditions apply.
Bashco time. All the things that you need for your home with prices so low, you would never need a loan at Bashco. At Bashco. Shopping. Appliances, house with furniture and rugs, gifts and linens and glass and mugs at Bashco. Oh, you're shopping at Bashco. Whether the north or south, in the east and the west, Bashco, them all over, they must be the best at Bashco. At Bashco. Oh, you're shopping at Bashco. At Bashco. 30 years of giving you more.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now, clearly, the controversial NIDS is on its way because the process to transform post offices into NIDS enrollment centers has started, as both have formed a mutually beneficial partnership. But what does that mean? And what will this enrollment entail? How do we as the public now interact with the postal service on the spot? And in the future, when we go through the door of the post offices, what should we expect? Well, to answer these and other related questions, we have online Dr. Warren Vernon, NITS Program Director, and Ms. Tanika Benny, Public Relations Officer, Port and Telecommunications Department, Central Sorting Office. Good morning to you both.
Good morning, Rev, and good morning to your listeners.
Great.
Good morning, also. Good morning, Dr. Warren Vernon, and to the listeners.
Good to have you both with us. Let me begin with you, Dr. Vernon. Could you just remind us of what NIDS is all about and why is it considered so important for Jamaica at this time?
Okay, thank you very much, Rev. Quite often you will hear persons talking about the national identification system, and what that really is a combination of the people or the staff that are empowered to deliver national identification and registration services to the people of Jamaica. The needs is also, a part of the needs we have the technologies, the systems, the processes. But at the end of the day, the real value to the people of Jamaica is the national identification card. And most times we tend not to discuss that. So while the discussions are usually about needs, the national identification card, is a part of the needs. And that is what people are going to interact with to add value. So they will use it to conduct businesses. I mean, you and I know that you really can't do anything formal in society without a national identification card. So cardholders will be able to use the needs to prove their identity, sign documents electronically behind device or in person. They can use it to port information from the NIDS to any private sector entity or government entity. And what this will do over time, reduce the number of information that, the repeated information that you'd ask persons for. And if you look at the 2021, corruption perception index published by Transparency International, what you will see is that the top 10 countries, they all have a national identification system, and they use it to deliver trusted public services to their people. You have Finland, Denmark, New Zealand, Norway, Germany, etc., just to name a few. But if we should step back a little bit to understand the importance of NIDS and to look back at recent baseline during the pandemic, social benefits, were transferred directly to people's bank accounts in India using Aadhaar, and that's the Indians' national identification system. In the US, for example, most of the checks were delivered via mail. But if you recall, in Jamaica, we had so many persons, in line at the National Stadium, trying to get government benefits. And the reason for this is because the government had no trusted form of identification to remotely provide, services to the people. So several persons turned up in line for benefits and really placed themselves at risk. But so Jamaica really has no national identification card. We really don't have a trusted national identification card, something that can be used by the entire population. We really have, no card that is tied back to your birth certificate to minimize identity theft and fraud. In fact, recent report, would suggest that an estimated 200,000 Jamaicans have no legal form of national identification.
Okay.
And, we would have seen even up to recently where, you have, persons stealing the dead birth certificate.
Right. So, sorry, Mr. Vernon. So the idea NIDS will deal with all of that. Let me just bring in Miss Bennett, and then I'll come back to you, Mr. Dr. Warren, Vernon. Miss Bennett, explain to us the newly assigned role of post offices as NIDS enrollment centers. What will that entail?
All right. Thank you so much for that question. All right. So just to give some context, the Postal Service, the fact is that the Postal Service is on a transformation journey, and critical to that process is us forging mutually beneficial and strategic partnerships, which include public-public partnerships, such as what we have with NIDS, and public-private partnerships. The Postal Service has, to its credit, a competitive advantage wherein we have an extensive network of postal locations, wherein we have 237 post offices across the island. That puts us in a unique position wherein it offers convenience to our stakeholders. So as a result, the PTD was identified as a strategic partner to roll out the national identification system. The department will provide its locations to carry out the NIDS, and in return, the NIDS has committed to assist with the upgrading of the physical and ICT infrastructure of our locations. And this was also demonstrated recently with the reopening ceremony of the CSO Post Office, which was held on October 13, where the Honorable Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, the Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, the Honorable Darvaz, gave the keynote address. The Chairman of the Board of Directors Postal Corporation of Jamaica, Professor Felix Akinladejo, he and the Postmaster General, Mr. Lincoln Allen, also addressed stakeholders at this event, the theme for which was the rebranding of Jamaica Post. And this is heavily reflected in what has been happening with the rebranding of the space and Jamaica Post overall. As you may know, the NIDS graciously contributed approximately $10 million, which aided in the renovations of the CSO Post Office. And the department did indeed match this contribution and provided labor to assist with the project. Now,
okay. Tell you what, Miss Bent, I'm so sorry. Stick a pin right there. We're up on a break. Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
Sure.
Get better coverage for yourself and your family as low as $800 a month. The Tie by Jane Life Vest from Jane Life Insurance is
7:15 and a half. You're inside the morning watch, brought to you by the PICJ. Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Havco Curamine Plus will remove inflammation from the body. With no inflammation, conditions such as type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol cannot stay in the body. Tanquest is a combination of herbs and fruits to remove toxins and pathogens from the body. Tanquest is antifungal, antiviral, and antibacterial. Tanquest will destroy free radicals and make you stronger for longer. Get your Curamine Plus and Tanquest from Havco Herbs and Extracts. Call them today at 540-8871. That's 540-8871.
The Accountant General's Department is advising the public that we're currently experiencing intermittent system disruptions, which may affect customer call wait times. We are working to restore our systems as soon as possible. For all queries, please contact us on our toll-free line at 888-991-3005 and on all our main lines at 876-922-832027. We thank you for your patience and apologize for any inconvenience caused.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. And in this, the first watch, we are looking at the matter of the post offices being used as enrollment centers for NIDS. And in so doing, we have online Dr. Warren Vernon, NIDS Program Director, and we have Miss Tanikia Bennett, Public Relations Officer, Port and Telecommunications Department. Ms. Bennett, before the break, you were telling us about how the post offices came into this whole picture. Go ahead, please.
Right. Thank you so much. Right. So I was mentioning that based on the renovation, the magnitude of the renovation works that were carried out at the CSO post office, several things have changed for the better. And this is a signal of the department's commitment to transform through innovation and rebranding. This aligns with our strategic objectives. Now, to specifically note, there were tiling done, replacement of counters, painting, ICT infrastructure upgrade, general upgrading of the post office facility, branding of the location, and the establishment of the department's first premium services center. Now, this initiative supports the department's strategic objectives, as I mentioned, to improve the overall corporate image, the aesthetics, the customer service experience, and the functionality of our locations. And it also creates a more modern and comfortable environment for all stakeholders. So, to our listeners, I just want to say that this is essentially the new face of Jamaica Post, and in the future, you can expect to see the CSO post office, the design, the layout, the feel, the experience replicated in other locations across the island.
All right.
Rev, just to add, Rev,
Yes,
if I may,
Vernon.
just to add to what Tamika said, in the context of NIDS, it is important to note that apart from churches, Jamaica Post has the most significant reach in the country. And they are in every community, most of which are within walking distance. So the government also owns the post offices. So any capital investment, you would agree, in making them better can be considered a direct benefit to the communities they serve. So from the NID side, this partnership with Jamaica Post is really a deliberate partnership. It's deliberate and strategic to, to help us to minimize the cost of providing, free national identification cards to Jamaicans walking distance. Because some persons won't have the money to go back to the enrollment site to collect their cards, and this is where in Jamaica Post is going to also help us with the distribution of information.
Yeah, I think we can see the rationale behind it. But Dr. Vernon, what's your response to those who are still uncomfortable with NIDS because they believe it is equated with the mark of the beast, and the fact that the Constitutional Court, was it in 2019, ruled that the then NIDS Act was null and void, saying that certain aspects of the legislation breach the rights of Jamaicans to privacy? Some people are still uncomfortable with it, Dr. Vernon.
Okay, so my response is, after the Supreme Court's ruling, we went back to the drawing board and we developed, a new law that is in alignment with the ruling to ensure that we have independent oversight to ensure that there's adequate data protection and privacy, and that is built into the design of the system, the infrastructure. I mean, if you take a walk to the central sorting office and look at the enrollment sites, you'll see the emphasis that we're placing on privacy. Now, when you look at, the views in the public domain, I can tell you that up to recently we did a survey, and approximately 61% of Jamaicans, the population indicated that they will participate in the NIDS program and register despite, some reservation.
When you say survey, Dr. Vernon, who did that?
That was done by Ernst & Young. It was done by Ernst & Young recently for us, because we wanted to get a feel from the public, and we wanted to get, the public's views as to how we move forward. But what is important to note, Rev, and we can't deny this, NIDS is going to have to earn its space and the trust of the people based on the quality of the service that we deliver and the value that we're adding to the, into people's lives. So if you look back in history, and we would have done the research, when NIS was introduced, in fact, those were some of the same comments. Persons would have indicated that, it's the mark of the beast. Persons would have indicated that it's sin. Persons turn it around to say that it's sin when it was implemented by Newell and then. Even the TRN, when we look at the history, the TRN was considered to be the mark of the beast. And I would have received a TRN, you would have received a TRN. And, can we suggest that we all, got the mark of the beast? And an important point to note, Rev, the government is not introducing a new number. Is your same TRN that will be a national identification number. What we are simply doing is that we are taking the TRN number, we are taking your birth certificate and go through a very rigorous vetting process. And then we attach a facial image, a picture of your face and your fingerprints to make your identity.
What about eyes? You're going to need your eyes, your eyes.
No eyes. Okay. Based on the size of our population, policymakers decided that, what is sufficient is just a face of the picture, well, a picture of your face rather, and your fingerprints, and that will be used for the national ID, which is no different from what you supply when you go to the embassy for a visa. In fact, the technology that they are using, to store your biometric information is the same technology that we are using for NIDS. It's the same technology that they use globally, when you go through border control to secure identity information. So if you look at it seriously, what we're doing, we're taking existing data about the individual, verify it, strengthen it, place it in a more secure system, and streamline it to simplify use. So you already have the number. So there's no way it could be the mark of the beast when you already have the number,
Okay.
And you already know from our biblical principle that is not true, and we could dig deep even to the book of Numbers, but this is not the place for it.
Right.
Explain the importance of numbers in governance, yes.
Yeah, hear loud and clear. Ms. Bennett, what's your response to those who argue or who may argue that the use of post offices as NIDS enrollment centers will will negatively affect their everyday operations and core functions?
Well, the fact is, based on the transformation first of the department and the strategic objectives of the department, this will in fact be a positive partnership for us, and it has proven to be so thus far. And we are pleased. We look forward to the full rollout of this.
I'm sorry, Ms. Bennett. How will it be positive? How will it be positive? In what ways would that enhance the work of your core function?
All right. So the function of the post office and the needs will remain separate. So Dr. Vernon can speak to this more, I suppose.
Yes.
But the function
You're Mr. Bennett. Sorry to interrupt you. Would you like me to
remain separate?
Well, let her finish and then
yes.
Go ahead, Mrs.
Sorry. Right. It will remain separate operations. However, what we're offering is a one-stop shop experience for our customers, for the public. So instead of going to 10 different locations to transact business, you can look to come to the post office, to Jamaica Post in your neighborhood, to do your logistics services, to send your zip mail, your fast track, collect your click and ship packages, to send your parcels and so on. You can also do your bill payment at our postal locations. And in addition to that, you can carry out your needs activities. So you don't necessarily have to go to 10 different locations. So we're looking forward to offering customers this greater level of convenience, this greater level of access, and thereby also building out our portfolio of services that we're offering. So this definitely aligns with the direction that the department is going in and that the post office is going in. Go ahead, Dr. Vernon.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Ms. Bennett. Ms. Bennett said it well, but when you look at the partnership, the NITS functions under the law, completely. There are certain requirements. One, the staff that will be providing the national identification and registration services are really employed to what you call the National Identification and Registration Authority and not the post office. So we are using the same banking hall or the same physical space, but our functions are completely separated. And you will see the integration happening, as Ms. Bennett mentioned, that it's now a one-stop shop to deliver services to people. And you have several models like that around the world, where your post office, now a place, our GovHub, where you can go and get multiple services, from government. So in my view, the partnership, is a strong partnership. In my view, the partnership is like a covenant. It is strong because there's benefits in there for the government, benefits in there for the people, and more so, we are now in a position to be able to ship national identification cards to the various enrollment sites across the country, because the card production site is a central site, without implementing any additional infrastructure, without any capital investment. So it is a good partnership.
But Ms. Bennett, over the years, one gets the impression that fewer and fewer people were going to post offices. That the whole postal service and agency, the persons start to call mail snail mail and all of that. It was that people were going away from this and going more online. How will this work out?
I'm really happy that you brought that up, because I was wanting and hoping that I would get a chance to speak to that. Because the fact is, Jamaica Post recognize the trends and the demands of our customers. And so in keeping up pace with what is happening globally, we have introduced a suite of premium service products, which I had mentioned or alluded to earlier, which includes zip mail. Now, this is a local next business day courier service that delivers island-wide. Prices are competitive. It has exquisite branding, and this is especially liked by our corporate partners, by our MSME businesses, and persons who do their online stores, their Instagram stores. They use this service to ship packages across the island. We have also introduced the click and ship service, And this service, might I add, has recently announced that when you sign up on clickonshipexpress.com, you get your free US mailing address, which is a tax-free address. So when you shop online through Click and Ship Express, you don't pay that usual tax that you normally pay at checkout. Right? And Click and Ship Express also offers 3 shipments weekly, so customers can look forward to that convenience. So
we have to wrap it now, Miss Bennett. You have to wrap it. All right. So sorry.
Continue this conversation, but yes, we do offer a wide range of services to accommodate the needs of our
loud and clear, loud and clear, loud and clear. I want to thank you both for joining us, and we hope that things will work out to the benefit of the nation as a whole. God bless you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Morning Watch will continue in just a moment.
Take the steps towards breast health by examining your body. Get a mammogram and help fight against breast cancer. The time by the Jane Group is
7:31.
Save in style every time you shop at Home and Things. Find all the top brands at the best prices. Grab a deal on porcelain, ceramic and mosaic tiles, fixtures and faucets for kitchen and bathroom, windows and doors, lighting, home decor and more. Yes, you can save in style on just about everything in store. Old Hope Road and Constant Spring Road. Shop for store-wide savings today at Home and Things. Brands you know, brands you can trust.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on J&B Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. J&B Bank will help you find a way.
This is the Morning Watch brought to you by Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica, Partners for Life.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing in the Gleaner. Pull plug on highway subcontractors, Michelle Charles urges. Also, UK calls for help in plugging gun flow to Jamaica. In the Observer, final curtain, Leonie Forbes, the consummate artist, passes at 85. We extend our condolences to her family and relatives. Tremendous talent. All right, Integrity Commission wraps Floyd Green for RADA board appointment. And in the Loop News, newly built ship capsizes during botched launch in China. Imagine that. And then listen to this one, listeners. The world's dirtiest man dies months after taking first bath in 70 years. 70. My goodness. Anyway, those are some of the major stories in our newspapers. Coming up next, we read some of the feedback from our social media question. Are you looking forward to the NIDS enrollment? Why or why not? Please leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Soon come back.
Embrace the Promise is coming to Jamaica with Ron Kinoli, Jonathan Nelson, Prodigal Son, Dr. KJ, Kerry Sales, Jermaine Edwards, Joan Flemings, and more. Gate prizes of up to $300,000 at each location. 876-784-2992. Manning's High School, Westmoreland, Saturday, October 29, 6 p.m. Randy Williams Entertainment Center, Sunday, October 30 at 5 p.m. Sponsored by Bugs Innovations, Love FM, and more. Embrace the Promise. Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Wonder what I count, yeah. Hey, me count, you count. Census say all of we count. Hey, you count, me count. Census say all of we count. Hey, information needed to develop the community. Them scouts them out and I get the reports. So don't bother hide when you see them.
Census 2022. The Jamaican census will be conducted between September and December 2022. You count, me count.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Now let's join Dr. Blair for a look at how our Facebook and YouTube WhatsApp friends answer today's question. Are you looking forward to the NIDS enrollment? Why or why not? Nadine?
All right, morning. Okay, we have Monica who says, I trust the database is one rigorously tested and secure, not by the same company that did those for JPS and MOH that exposed persons' info and placed them at risk for ID theft, which is on the rise. Rose says, I'm not looking forward to the NIDS because they have been lying from the beginning. It was about catching gunmen. No, it's all kinds of excuse and okay. Jones says, will be affected by NIDS while abroad and want to do business back home. Will it be like the TRN card, which is a must-have? So that's asking a question there. I think there was a...
Good morning, host of the show. I am so glad for NIBS because I'm an old lady and I can't afford to be walking around with so much different ID and whatever. I just have one ID. So I am looking forward for that. I am grateful. Bring it on.
All right, there you have it.
All right, bring it on. All right, let us therefore bring it on as we segue into the second watch. I want to thank those who responded. Now, you've probably been asked by the cashier during a point of sale transaction, may I tap? Do you give permission? Or do you prefer to use your PIN, your PIN? What is the proper practice when using the tap and go facility? Well, to discuss this and other related matters, we have joining us Mr. Michael Diamond, President of Consumers Intervention Jamaica, and Ms. Gillian Parag, Portfolio Officer, Payment and Digital Channels Division from NCB. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Good to have you both with us this morning. Let me begin with you, Ms. Parag. All right. What really is tap and go? And how is it different from other payment options? And what would you say are the advantages, the pros and the cons?
Awesome. I'm glad we're starting there because, we have to take it back to basics. Everybody's not aware. So tap and go, that's what we call it in the streets, but that's simply contactless payment at the point of sale, right? So there's a piece of technology. It's known as NFC, near field communication. We have this on our phones as well, and it enables you to just, as we say, tap and go. Contactless transactions are more seamless. They quicken our transaction times, etc. But what is really great about it is that your card does not need to leave your hand. So, when you started off speaking about the cashier asking you, can I tap? It's funny because this is how the adoption of technology works. It's not supposed to leave your hand for him or her to say, can I tap? It should be, I'm going to tap. But we know we're getting there and we're happy because this has been in the market from 2019. And so we're happy that at least it's a part of the conversation now and we're happy to share the information.
What do you tap? Miss Prague? Miss Parag, what is that?
So right now in the market, we have a lot of contactless cards. So if you look on your Visa debit, MasterCard prepaid, or your credit card, you will see a sign that looks like a Wi-Fi sign. That would be showing you that this card is contactless. However, and actually already, you will also be able to tap your phone as a contactless point of payment. Persons tap their Apple Watches in the States. They've started to do that now on the North Coast to tourists. So you can tap any contactless card or digital payment form that is used as a contactless machine.
So the advantages are what over the other payment options?
So I like to put it this way. One, you do not need to hand over your card to another person. And this is actually the biggest advantage to me. When we look at 2019 to 2020, we saw an uptick in fraudulent attempts. You will have remembered about credit card fraud at maybe a hotel or a restaurant where the cashier would take your card. You're not really looking. You're hungry. You're waiting on your food. And by the time you look, somebody gone with the card and you come back around. You didn't even notice. And the issue of skimming, which is simply using a machine or a device to copy your card information, that is something that was on the rise globally. And so contactless is a direct solution to that because the goal is your card doesn't need to leave your hand. So you're not putting yourself at that risk. Also, it's a double layer form of protection. So yes, you can tap your card, which I'll get into some more later. You can tap your card, but also there is still the PIN option once you pass a certain threshold. So it's not a matter of, we're kind of just walking around with these cards radiating. The card needs to be within 2 inches of the machine, and a transaction would need to be initiated before.
Let me bring in Mr. Diamond now. Mr. Diamond, consumer, from a consumer rights perspective and so on. What are your commendations, concerns with this tap and go payment option?
Well, good morning again to you when you're listening. The tap and go has created quite a convenience for so many consumers. Now, the thing is that there is that concern that there is the issue of security, where that is always going to be a concern for consumers. That you don't need a PIN and you don't need to present an ID in many of these transactions. So the fact that someone can use your contactless card is always going to be an issue. So there is that concern, but the reality of it is that there are many of the fraud that normally would take place is really reduced with these type of transactions. So there is that advantage. But again, when we are speaking about our space here, is that how well are the financial institutions handling situations of complaints when it comes to someone utilizing your card because they found it prior to you being able to lock it down. That is one thing with consumers is that when we speak about transactions that occur, fraudulent transactions that occur with especially with credit cards, how the banks treat with that. So oftentimes it's very tedious, and many consumers do not get receive redress. So while it might create this level of convenience, there's also that inconvenience when things go wrong.
Yeah. So overall, Mr. Diamond, are you for it, against it, overly cautious about it? What's your stance?
Well, I can tell you this from a consumer perspective: any technology that improves the interaction for consumers, I'm always for it. As far as tap and go is concerned, of course, the conveniences truly outweigh the disadvantages, and I'm definitely for it. The unique thing is that there really isn't the name of it really isn't tap and go really, because a transaction you don't necessarily have to actually tap the device for it to work. So
Right.
that is
Okay.
something that, right?
Right.
The only thing that I
Tell you what, Mr. Diamond, I'm so sorry. We're up on a break. Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
I've got love in my heart and I'm feeling blessed.
Another World of Worship Wednesday is coming your way inside alive 1 to 5 October 26th, packed with worship, fun, and information. Stick around for a blast at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Kevin Williams as our worship artist of the day. Then at 3 p.m. inside the Live Bible Challenge ABC Season 3, we bring you the second match in round 1, featuring Devon Campbell going up against Connie Benjamin Gordon. All this and more will come your way inside alive 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. This World of Worship Wednesday, October 26th, with yours truly, Sarah and the Chirpy One on the family station, Love 101.
Give him praise.
Do you have a heart condition? Your care should be in the hands of our experienced cardiovascular team at Partners Interventional Center of Jamaica. We're one of the leading heart centers for angiogram, stenting, pacemakers, EP studies, and ablation therapy. PICJ has the expertise and latest technology to treat all your heart needs. Call 876-995-7425 or email info@pic-jm.com for appointments. PICJ, your partners for life.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and this is the second half of the second watch. We're looking on tap and go when the PIN is unnecessary. In so doing, we have online Ms. Gillian Parag, and we have Mr. Michael Diamond. Before the break, Mr. Diamond, you were telling us about your concerns.
yes, as I mentioned before, for consumers, a part of the disadvantages is that perhaps there isn't enough education regarding tap and go for individuals to really have an uptake and to utilize the system a lot more. Even though it's growing, there are lots of individuals who still have apprehensions where these things are concerned. And as mentioned before, when you have a merchant saying, "Hey, may I tap?" the reality of it is that people are still very sensitive about, handing someone their card for it to be tapped, and also the mere fact of that you won't be using a PIN and you're not being asked for an ID. This is something that we're still learning to adapt to. So, of course, again, the disadvantages truly do not outweigh the convenience and advantages of utilizing these type of transactions. But the concern again will always be what happens at the financial institution once a customer speaks to the fact that they've been fraudulently, because of losing their card.
Right. Miss Parag, no ID is required, I gather, in the whole transaction. What if your card is lost or stolen? Wouldn't that person who did that just tap and go as well with your money or your
Well,
goods?
thanks for asking that question. So I just want to add very quickly. While a PIN is not required for a certain amount, there is still a very small threshold. So globally, I should say locally across our different banks, it is 5,000 or 50 US. So a very small amount. Recently, NCB would have increased for our cards 10,000 or 100 because we know the cost of things are going up. So what can $5,000 really buy sometimes? But what we have done is to still keep the threshold low. And so we're keeping the risk low as well when you don't use a PIN. But once you hit a transaction, for us NCB it's 10,000 and above. For other banks it's 5,000 and above. You will need to enter your PIN. So you're still having that added level of security. In terms of, as you said, if there is some type of fraudulent transaction rather. And of course, when we think about anything to do with exposing yourself. It's your PIN. If somebody gets a hold of your PIN, if for whatever reason they get a hold of your card, what NCB has implemented is a Manage My Card portal. This Manage My Card portal allows you to do several things. Report a lost or stolen card, like you mentioned, Dr. Toussaint. We also have the option to turn on and off your card virtually. So, for example, if I leave the island for whatever reason and let's say I forgot my card in my house and I want that extra level of security, I can go in at any time and just turn off my card. And as I mentioned, once it's lost or stolen, or you have a dispute, you see a transaction that you say, well, I don't remember buying this at such and such merchant, you are also able to send a report in the app or call, because we know everyone is not digital.
Sounds reasonable to you, Mr. Diamond?
Absolutely. That threshold is what really kind of keeps things balanced. The fact of the matter is that without that, we would have a greater concern. And an advantage to this as well is that there are times when individuals would capture your information or clone the cards per se. In this situation, they would need your physical card in order to take advantage of your tap and go. So, there's that level of reduction for consumers, where those type of fraudulent attacks are concerned. So the threshold is a very wonderful security protocol to keep us within, even if we're going to suffer a loss, if the loss is only $5,000. But I must ask, in the event that an individual do get hold of a card before a consumer is able to shut it down.
Mr. Diamond?
I think we lost him.
Yeah, Mr. Diamond, we didn't hear you a while ago. Could you repeat that question? Right, you're having some challenges with him. You got the gist of what you were saying, Ms.
Yes,
Pratt?
I did.
He's saying, what if he didn't get a chance to shut it down before?
What I'm really happy about is NCB has the fastest response time, just 3 business days for any fraud report.
How much?
Right?
How much?
3 business days. Some places will tell you 120 days, but we do our investigations quickly because we know things happen. Especially just to bring awareness to things like persons trying to defraud the elderly, for example, and they'll weasel their way and get their PIN from them, things like that. And so we know things happen outside of your general awareness. Something can happen, and you're like, "Wow, I only know after the fact." As soon as you recognize something, you report it. We get on it right away. We have a fully equipped fraud prevention team that works with the police. So, it's important for us to know when these things are happening. So we encourage you to reach out to us. So there is no issue if it happens, if you realize after the fact. And we say this for any type of transaction, not just at the point of sale machine. We know in 2016, 2017, we saw an uptick in ABM fraudulent activity, and we put measures in place for that. So it's the same type of process across the board when it comes on to protecting our customers.
What about reimbursement, though? I mean, the time to be reimbursed after, after investigations are done, which sometimes can be long, depending on the institution, of course, the person being reimbursed his or her money. That's a concern.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely a concern, and we take it case by case, of course, and that's why we work closely with the police to ensure that we are always looking at all sides of what has happened. Like I said, there are so many different types of fraudulent activity that take place, and the elderly is especially important to me, so I mentioned them again. But we take it case by case, and we work very closely to ensure that we're looking at the gamut of what has happened, and we're working with our customers. Many of our customers have had situations where we are able to reimburse them. And so we're, as a financial guide, we're here with you. We're not separate from our customers. We want to ensure, because the whole point of our bank is to keep your funds safe and to also give you access. And so we're committed to that.
Okay, I gather that Mr. Diamond is back. In your absence, Mr. Diamond, I think Ms. Parag answered your question. We got the gist of what you were saying before you were disconnected. But I want to ask you as well, Ms. Parag, before we bring back on Mr. Diamond. He had mentioned about cloning. I think he had mentioned about cloning. How do you treat with that?
So this is where the education comes in, and that's something Mr. Diamond spoke to as well. What we found is, again, the matter of skimming, persons using devices, whether that is attaching it to the ABM, or in 2019 to 2020, we saw where people were starting to use dummy card machines, point of sale machines, and they'll switch them out at the gas station pump when the attendant is not looking, things like that. So what we've done is to ensure that we inform our merchants annually. Even just next month, we will have our annual merchant security forum, teaching and reminding them of what has happened in the past, but also what's happening globally. Because what you'll even find, some of these fraudsters, there is some international things them on, they are working with people overseas to find the latest ways to defraud us, so we have to be 10 steps ahead of them. And so the skimming and the cloning, this is a direct, us implementing contactless is a direct hit on that. We want to ensure that if your card doesn't need to leave your hand, it doesn't, which at this point, even if you are doing a contactless transaction that is above the threshold of $5,000 or $10,000, you just need to enter your PIN. There's no reason for the attendant or the cashier to touch your card, and so that's gonna add a layer of protection there.
Mr. Diamond, as we soon wrap up, what are your closing recommendations and suggestions to consumers, generally speaking, as we talk about this tap and go technology?
Well, definitely, again, I always keep to promoting the fact that safety begins with you. Do not put the safety of your financial transaction in the hands of merchants. Always be as vigilant as possible. So you observe the machines that you're getting ready to use with your card, if they have to take your card to insert it. And again, the mere fact that you're not required to use a PIN.
Sorry, Mr. Diamond, you sound far away. Could you draw closer to the microphone if possible?
Are you hearing me better?
A whole lot better, thanks.
Yeah, man. What I was basically saying is that always be vigilant. The idea of safety begins with you, the consumer. Never leave that up to the merchant. So you also have to be very aware of the devices that they're getting ready to use with your card. If you do not have to give them your card, well, you don't. For contactless payments, you don't have to give them your card. It just needs to go as close enough to the device without handing anyone your card. And again, same thing when you're using your PIN, be very alert. What is around you, anyone observing you. So it's always about safety first for us, the consumers, and never, again, to just leave safety in the hands of the merchant.
Miss Parag, any closing thoughts in terms of commendations and suggestions?
Oh, yes, definitely. And just to add on to what Mr. Diamond said, we know safety is everybody's business. We've heard that cliche for a while, but it's for us to actually execute on this, to act on this in our day-to-day. We get kind of comfortable, especially when we visit places we often go to purchase. Remember to cover your hand when you're, using the card machine if you're entering your PIN. As we say, if you're doing contactless, just tap. You don't need to hand over your card. And, we're all learning, so you may go to a cashier and they're still asking for your card. They say, no, man, it's under the 10,000. If it's MTB, it's under the 5,000 for other banks. I can just tap. I'm just being vigilant. We're going into the holiday season. This week is Observer Take Style Out. And then as we go into Christmas shopping and things like that, as Mr. Diamond said, awareness is important. It's not a matter of making anybody feel away, but you're protecting your PIN, you're protecting yourself. And if you feel as though anything is suspicious, follow your gut. It's better to be safe than sorry. So if you think something has happened, call us, use our online system and report it. And just to be vigilant, you can never be too safe.
Right. And just to emphasize in terms of if any untoward situation, fraudulent activity happens, 1, 2, 3, what's the first thing, just for emphasis, you should do, Miss Parag? Second thing, third thing, going forward?
Okay, so I'll give you 2. So if you're a digitally enabled person, you're online, you have our app, etc. First thing you do is go in and block your card. And you can do this is not just for credit cards, you can do this for your Visa debit as well. So go in and block your card. You can also report it there. For somebody who is that's not your option, you don't want to go online, no problem. Call us, 888 NCB first. We are there. We have improved our customer care system tremendously. And so you're able to get through to us quicker and make your report. As I said, it's better to be safe than sorry. So if you think something is suspicious but you're not sure, still give us a call. And from there, our team will take care of you.
I'm going to send you the bill here, Miss Farah.
That's just giving my customers the options.
Right. Want to thank you both for joining us this morning. Interesting, informative discussion. Have a safe day.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having us.
Amen. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information or get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-9596-7. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Kathy Gale, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint, giving a shout out to the pastor and members of the Gospel Auditorium Church on Walton Park Road as I hand you back to Love in the Morning with Nadine Blair.